have an intriguing question for you. Are you building relationships or are you building coalitions? I'll say that one more time. Are you building relationships or are you building coalitions? I've had a number of conversations over the last several weeks with both clients and old colleagues about this exact topic. As there's so much going on in the world today and people are really trying to get their teams to gel and coalesce, and there's been so much happening, so many new people hired, so many people that have moved organizations. It's just been a lot of change and a lot of noise for a lot of people. And that means that it's a strain on those professional relationships. Who do you know? How do you know them? If you've got a question, who can you go to? If you're trying to build something or put a team together, who do you go to? Those professional relationships that help you understand the skills, the abilities, the aptitudes, the connections of the other people that you are engaged with. Those professional relationships enable you to do work better, to do work more efficiently, to do work that is more pointed at specific outcomes and goals. Those relationships are the strength of your leadership. It's one of the foundational pieces of your leadership, because leadership is getting things done with, through, by, and for other people. So the stronger your professional relationships, the more likely it is you are able to get things done, guide others, influence others, make an impact, move teams around, right? Develop folks, because you can have conversations with other colleagues to talk about, hey, I've got this really incredible person. I really want to expand their skills, and I would love if you have another opportunity to be able to get them on a project with you. Those kind of things. Those relationships, things that are really about mutually beneficial situations. There are professional relationships too outside of your organization, right? Your network. And they say your net worth is connected to your network. But how are you building those relationships? Digging the well before you're thirsty, right? Who do you know? How are you connecting? How are you building those connections honestly, with integrity, for mutually beneficial situations that both of you get something out of the connection? On the other hand, are you building coalitions? And when I think about the word coalition, I was just talking to another friend yesterday and she said, I think when you say coalition, I think about alliance. I'm like, that's a good word too. Because when I think about coalition or alliances, I'm not thinking about mutually beneficial situations. I'm thinking about, who can I get on my side to achieve whatever it is I'm trying to achieve, especially if there's high resistance. I had a partner tell me years ago that, hey, one of the key things about high performance teams is there's a common enemy, right? Everybody's pointing at something else that they're trying to defeat or overcome or work through. So the ability of the individuals to coalesce around that, to connect around that, to have a common vision and common effort is really solidified in the fact that there's a common enemy. There's a real clear sense of what we're doing and why we're doing it. It's the same thing around coalitions and alliances. And if you think about organizations, if you're building a coalition, that's that mean girl thing, right? Who do I go to? Who am I chit-chatting with? Who do I go around to get something done that I want to get done, even if it's not going to be popular? How do I ensure that I gain what I want, regardless of what it means for the organization? Coalitions, alliances. The thing about alliances, I feel like they sit kind of in the middle, right? Because you can have an alliance that is really positive and moving towards something really impactful. And you can have an alliance that is undermining, right? One of the great ways to think about this is political alliances, because we see that all the time, especially in Europe, where they have to create these coalitions in order to see who's going to be running that particular session of the government. So when you're out there and you're leading, how are you building relationships? And are you building relationships or are you building coalitions? Now, let me put a caveat on this. Sometimes coalitions are necessary. When there is big change to be made, coalitions are necessary. When you are doing, for example, union negotiations, one of the things that's key in union negotiations is understanding who the influencers are on the corporate side and on the union side. And that influencer may or may not actually be the union steward. And you begin to build relationships with the people who are the most influential in the organization. Now, for me, I just like knowing who people are, and I like to build relationships because it's all about integrity and connection for me. I need you to know that I have always got the best interest of the organization and the best interest of the individual in mind. I am one of those HR people that walks that gray line on a regular basis when I was sitting in that CHRO role, in that head of HR role. But not everybody does that. And sometimes that alliance and coalition is much more about, how do I ensure that I'm protected? How do I ensure that I get what I want? How do I ensure that at the center of everything that happens, there is me? That is different. But in the middle of those are alliances. And how do we align ourselves with others? How do we connect on common mission, common vision, common goals? How do we, especially in times of great change, gather alliances that can help to not only create and impact the change, but that can help others get connected to the change, that can help others through change resistance, can help others through change weariness. Alliances enable you to take those really great relationships, right, and build coalitions that are coalitions for positive movement, as opposed to coalitions for survival and protection. So as you're going through this week, I want you to look at your circle, right? You've got your personal village and your personal board of directors. I hope you've got that. But look at your professional network and your professional relationships. And those of you who are working in a company, look at the relationships you have within your organization. Do you have professional relationships, or are you part of coalitions? Or have you been able to build really strong alliances that enable you as a leader, because remember, leadership is about behavior, not about position, that allow you as a leader to help impact your organization, to help things be more efficient, more effective, to not forget the people in the process, because remember, mission first, people always. Which one are you building? I would love to know what you think about this. Interpersonal relationships versus coalitions, and the connection with alliances. Let me know. Have a great week.